of life. We're also beaming our satellite in different corners of the world, chasing leads to serve the meal hot. Tonight, state governments to open doors of investment for Brazilian investors.
The commitment demonstrated by both presidents was very palpable.
On environment, Nigeria and China seal deal on Nigeria's grain industrialization plan. Book launch. Past and present leaders converge to read experiences of former presidential spokesperson. And the Senate beams searchlight on activities of fraudulent investment schemes, commonly known as Ponzi. Also tonight, we have stories on security, agriculture, youth empowerment, health and industrialization with Benny Adams as our guide on business, while Badi Adeleye will lead us with sporting news. We urge you to stay with us. After all, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I'm Yan Ray John. This is News Extra. Welcome. We'll begin from Brazil tonight. Following President Bola Tinubu's engagements in Brazil, sub-national governments from Nigeria have been wooing Brazilian investors for possible investment in their respective states. State House correspondent Musbao Danwahab reports from Rio de Janeiro that Ogun State government took the lead with an investment forum with potential investors in Brazil.
President Bola Tinubu and his Brazilian counterpart, Luiz Lula da Silva, on the sidelines of the 2025 BRICS Summit, continue to demonstrate shared interest for greater partnership. As more robust collaborations manifest between the two national governments, Ogun State government is taking an immediate step to leverage the platform of confidence being established by the Nigerian president.
The commitment demonstrated by both presidents was very palpable.
Governor Dapo Abiodun is on an investment drive in Rio. For a state that prides itself as the industrial capital of Nigeria, the state governor highlighted the investment opportunities in the gateway state, including mining, agriculture, livestock, hospitality, oil and gas, among others. He is also seeking partnership in power plant development, renewable energy, technical and vocational training for youths of the states.
We have a region in our state that's the deepest sea point in Nigeria called the Olokola region, where there's a planned Olokola natural gas project in the offing, OKLNG. This place has been identified as the right place to have a fertilizer plant. So we welcome partners from Brazil to set up with us a fertilizer plant in Ogun State to export back to Brazil.
There's a lot that already exists in terms of backbones for industry, which is why Ogun is also very industrialized. It's one of the most industrialized states in Nigeria.
Managers of the Nigerian economy also explained various reforms being carried out by the Tinubu's administration to remove the macroeconomic distortions and attract domestic and foreign investments.
We are on the right track in terms of growth, in terms of inflation, in terms of the external position.
In Nigeria today, you have stability in our financial system. We have a tight, very tight monetary system that ensures that inflation is gradually beginning to trend down. The significance is that the foundation for growth is being established.
They assured the potential investors of a friendly business climate and protection for investments in Nigeria. in Rio de Janeiro. Musbao, then Wahab, NC News.
And from Brazil, let's move to New York. Rather than wait for the future to happen, there must be a global resolve to shape it now by promoting initiatives that support the youth and their aspirations. Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, made this call while addressing the 3rd Annual Global First Partners Academy ongoing in New York. State House correspondent Adeniyi Taiwo reports.
It is day 2 at the Global First Partners Academy ongoing in Manhattan, New York, and participants look forward to another session of capacity building, collaboration, and peer review. Their theme for the day, First Partners' Role in the World, Preparing the Youth for the Future, saw faculty members sharing insights and tools with First Ladies on how to engage in constructive dialogue, promote social cohesion, and lead initiatives that transform polarization into opportunities for inclusive growth. Speaking to the theme as she takes a turn at the podium, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu is emphatic that the first step towards building a sustainable future starts with acknowledging the potential of youths and backing their aspirations with strategic initiatives.
My experience has made me to realize that our youth are creative, innovative, hardworking, and resilient. Preparing the youth for the future also means meeting them where they are, in the digital space, in technology, creative industries, in conversations about climate action and governance. As adults, we have a lot of catching up to do. We have to build bridges to engage our youth through scholarships, internships, mentorships, and programs that foster civic participation and public service.
She says, as maternal figures in national and global communities, First Ladies must leverage their unique position to seek partnership that provide holistic solutions to issues affecting children, women, and the youth.
Currently, as First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I have aligned my programs with the Renewed Hope agenda of the President, focusing on inclusive development and social upliftment of children, youth, and women towards ensuring better lives for their families.
Presentations by other First Partners examined the roles of artificial intelligence in women's health and technological trends shaping youth's future and food security. Call it another school sessions for the First Ladies, and you just might be right. The last 2 days at the Academy have, at the very least, offered participants fresh perspectives on key issues and their roles. The expectation of the Academy, and indeed the rest of the world, is that this training will shape their advocacy and sharpen their focus on key target areas. From Manhattan in New York, Adeniyi Taiwo, NT News.
Many thanks, Adeniyi. Back home now, heading to the National Assembly. Senate has resolved to carry out a comprehensive investigation into the activities of fraudulent investment schemes, commonly known as Ponzi schemes, in Nigeria to protect citizens. In a motion jointly sponsored by Senator Abiru Adetokunbo and Senator Osita Izunanso, lawmakers expressed concern over increasing sophistication of operators of such fraudulent schemes and the devastating consequence of their actions on unsuspecting members of the public. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali brings us details.
It was such a terrible nightmare, and many Nigerians committed suicide when they lost their monies.
I wondered how this monumental fraud will happen to Nigeria when we have a regulator, the Central Bank of Nigeria, in place.
While debating the motion, lawmakers made specific reference to the recent crypto bullion exchange, CBEX, MMM and MBA Forex, who lured Nigerians with promise of outrageous returns, but suddenly collapsed, resulting in investors losing trillions of naira.
Despite the scale of operations and visibility of CBEX, it operated for an extended period without facing sanctions by either the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, the CBN, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, and also EFCC.
All these agencies, that's their job. They must not allow this to always slip. It behoves on us to look at whatever loopholes or lacuna in the existing laws that these Ponzi schemes exploit.
Senate committees on banking, anti-corruption and ICT were mandated to conduct the investigation. In another effort to tackle emerging issues in the power sector, Senate passed for second reading the Electricity Act Amendment Bill after a vibrant debate during which lawmakers highlighted key challenges.
None of the generating companies has paid NMPC for the gas they have taken for the last 5 years. So if we deduct, this gas belongs to government. If we deduct the cost of gas from the GENCOs, from what they are owing federal government, there is no owing at all.
You license on people to generate electricity. You license on people to distribute electricity. And government is holding on to transmission. I believe that is one of the critical problems.
We want to cure such anomalies and disputes within the Electricity Act.
Other adoptions at the Senate were the passage at second reading of bills to establish Federal Polytechnic in Ebonyi State and Federal College of Education, Kebbi State. Senate has commended the appointment of Nigeria's Comptroller General of Customs, Bashir Adeniyi, as the head of the World Customs Organization.
This position places Nigeria at the epicenter of global trade facilitation policies, customs standards development, and international border security patrol protocols that govern trillions of dollars in global commerce annually.
Not every government agency do meet its revenue target, but customs has surpassed it by more than 10 to 20%.
Lawmakers at plenary observed a minute's silence in honor of late Senator Caleb Zagi from Kaduna State and the wife of Senator Diket Plank, who died this week. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the National Assembly is worried at the non-implementation of the 5% user charge for road maintenance as provided in the FEMA Act 2007. As a result, the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on the Act has commenced investigation. Ignatius Nkwo brings us details.
Road infrastructure is more than just tar and gravel. It is the projector of any modern economy. From transporting food to linking communities, good roads make the nation work. But in Nigeria, the story is often about roads built and forgotten. The 5% user charge for road maintenance in Nigeria is a levy on pump price of petrol and diesel for the maintenance of roads across the country. It was enacted in 2007. 18 years after the enactment, it has remained dormant, and the House of Representatives is now investigating its non-implementation.
This committee is looking forward to the actualization of government's desire to ensure that Nigerian roads are usable. Nigerian roads are motorable. All over the country, we suffer this problem of bad roads. And it's not something that you will solve just by budgeting.
The managing director of FEMA and other key stakeholders described the move by the House of Representatives as a lifeline for Nigerian roads.
I regard today as a major milestone in our journey towards providing good roads in Nigeria. The importance of good roads cannot be emphasized, considering that almost 80 to 90% of socio-economic activities in Nigeria are done on the roads.
I want to employ all of us to put our best to ensure that this committee comes up flying with reasonable decisions that will see Nigeria moving forward.
The Ad Hoc Committee has constituted 2 subcommittees for a comprehensive framework. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
The time is now, and our voice is being heard. That was the message of the First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, advocating for the passage passage of special seat bill for women in Parliament at the People's House Open Week 2025. National Assembly correspondent Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports that traditional institutions also took their turn as Speaker. Tajuddin Abbas received their submissions ahead of the constitutional review exercise.
Seated here are diverse women groups who came together to speak with one voice. The dialogue is to bridge the gap of underrepresentation among women folks. First Lady Oluremi Tinubu's message cited the role of women that could not be underscored, stressing the need for more representation in the decision-making process.
Women remain significantly underrepresented in all levels of governance, despite making up nearly half of the population. This is not just a question of fairness, it is a matter of strengthening our democracy and deepening our national development.
With our hearts open and eyes unclouded, in the chambers where laws are made, when voices rise on tax and trade, but fall silent on the pain of childbirth or the shame girls carry for bleeding in school, who will speak of the mother who died giving life?
We are asking that we please be given some reserved seats.
The leadership of the House also engaged traditional rulers on their constitutional role.
One of the most important roles that the traditional rulers will be playing or will be officially playing is, advisory services to the government. At any level, you'll find out that we have traditional, leaders there.
It has gone to a stage whereby even the traditional ruler himself, he does not want to involve in politics. In some cases where the government is the one, the government of the day is the one that appointed you to become Your Majesty.
We want to join hands with the government in the area of community policing.
Traditional rulers must have to be part of government.
And we want to assure you that we will continue to do everything humanly possible to make sure that this time around your collective aspiration and ours as we see the light of the day.
The House Open Week continues Thursday with more citizens' participatory sessions. From the National Assembly, Mohammed Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
Away from the National Assembly now, Nigeria's status as a giant on the African continent is on display as investors are taking advantage of the nation's policies on ease of doing business. One of such investors is in Magama local government area of Niger State, building a hydropolis-free zone, a world-class modern city to accelerate industrial development in Niger State and Nigeria at large. A federal government delegation, including the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, visited the site. Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara was in the entourage.
Niger State in north-central Nigeria accounts for the country's largest landmass, with abundant resources in food and power, potentials that are attracting investors and innovation from across the world. In the bank of Kanji Dam in Magama local government, this 3,000 hectares of land is playing host to the ongoing multi-trillion naira hydropolis free zone project, with about 30 billion naira infrastructural project completed.
If 10 billion is not going to be available for you, I wonder who else it will be available for.
This is an example that at the time that some people are thinking that investors are leaving this country, investors are actually coming to Nigeria.
As a flagship project of mainstream energy, the project is deeply rooted and driven on public-private initiatives to promote various activities like manufacturing, real estate, tourism, and agriculture. Aquaculture Resources Limited is already leading the way with the full operations of this mega fish farm using a section of the Kanji Lake that is already providing thousands of tons of fresh fish to Nigerian markets. This is an indication that on the land and in the water, Nigeria's agricultural revolution is on course.
The only way we can achieve, Mr. President's, objective and goal in terms of industrialization, in terms of accelerating it, is with the efforts, of the private investors and the private people. And what I've seen here is highly commendable, both in terms of the free trade zone and in terms of the aquaculture resources. We require, government intervention by way of its agencies like the BOI.
Since the coming of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, first he established the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, which has an 800-kilometer coastline and then inbound waterways that also support this kind of venture. If you match that with also the novel Ministry of Livestock Development, and you now know that the president feels that there is the need for Nigerians to actually have sufficiency in food production. That's the only way that our sovereignty can be guaranteed.
The investors are encouraged with the commitment of the federal government representatives. Honestly, it's well reassured, not only for us stakeholders, but for investors that are willing really to join us and to join this team for a very wonderful future, at least in terms of what we have on the ground.
Seeing is believing. So we brought them here all the way from Abuja. No matter how you try and show and sell this product, unless you bring people here to come and see for themselves, there's no way you can convince anybody to come and put money here.
Conceived in 2015, the project is a demonstration that with the right policies and synergy among the subnational governments and private investors, development potentials are limitless on Nigerian soil that is full of abundant natural and human resources. From Magama local government in Niger State, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
Let's pause here. There's more news shortly. Please stay with us. Glad to have you back. A book authored by former presidential spokesperson Garba Shehu during official lunch turned an assemblage of the high and mighty on the nation's political landscape. Abubakar Kwango reports that the former president Muhammadu Buhari is the character of the title. According to the president, lessons from presidential spokesperson's experience.
This is one of the largest political gatherings in recent times, with more than 90% of former President Muhammadu Buhari's cabinet members, members of the diplomatic corps, and other critical stakeholders across sectors in attendance. Others are former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former secretaries to the government of the Federation, former and present ministers, including representatives of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and former President Muhammadu Buhari.
Malam Garba Shehu's account provides a critical behind-the-scenes perspective. The book also serves as a repository of wisdom for public communicators, policymakers, scholars, historians, and Nigerians at large. It offers key lessons on leadership communication, governance under pressure, and the intersection between power and public perception.
In writing this book, he says categorically that he set out to write not an autobiography, but a textbook for those who will in the future be media advisors and practitioners in the prestigious but often difficult, sometimes treacherous terrain.
This one further goes to show the loyalty, commitment, and the way Buhari's aides hold him in high esteem during and even after leaving office.
The book, titled, according to the president, Lessons from Presidential Spokesperson's Experience, is a new bride in Nigeria's library shelves with 10 chapters and 239 pages, authored by the famous veteran and former presidential spokesperson, Malam Garba Shehu.
Shehu assembles a compelling narrative using presidential speeches, public statements, press briefings, and behind-the-scenes reflections to portray what Buhari said, what he meant, and why he acted the way he did on core national issues.
His dedication to truth and transparency in journalism has made him one of Nigeria's finest media personalities.
Prominent Nigerians described Malam Garba Shehu as an impeccable character in the Nigerian media space who has earned himself a life medal that will endure to the end of time, and commended the deep insight into former President Muhammadu Buhari's 8 years leadership. Malam Garba Shehu, a towering figure on the nation's media ecosystem, said his desires are finally met owing to the tough moment he was able to transmit into an intellectual property that will inspire generations to come.
I hope we're able to bring him much closer to Nigeria so that they will understand him, including, as the Vice President said, the things that he eats, the clothes that he wears. Why would he reject a diamond wristwatch? All of these things, people will learn, from them. Muhammad Buhari has done his part, and the legacy must be preserved.
I am Muhammad Buhari, not of Daura, but of discipline, not of tribe, but of truth.
The cerebral former president Muhammadu Buhari no doubt has left many parts unpublished, but this particular one is a documented journey of a man who came, saw, and conquered despite many challenges. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
Now, the federal government of Nigeria has expressed concern over the recent decision by the United States government's revision of its visa policy for Nigerian citizens, limiting non-immigrant visas, including B1, B2, F, and J categories, to single entry with a 3-month validity period effective July 8, 2025. A statement by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs says the move was a departure from the previous multi-entry visas valid for up to 5 years, misaligned with principles of reciprocity and mutual respect. The statement highlights that the policy disproportionately affects Nigerian students, business travelers, and families visiting the U.S., creating logistics hurdles for long-term academic programs and professional engagements. On the contrary, it clarifies that Nigeria has no similar restrictions for American citizens, questioning the equity of the policy. The ministry further highlights the risk that could undermine decades of robust bilateral ties, including trade, security, cooperation, and educational exchanges. While acknowledging the sovereign right of every country to determine its immigration policies, Nigeria respectfully urges the United States to reconsider this decision in the spirit of partnership, cooperation, and shared global responsibilities. Consequently, diplomatic engagements are ongoing, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs remains committed to pursuing a resolution that reflects fairness and upholds the values of mutual interest. In other news, cyberspace is the backbone of the modern society. Regrettably, billions of dollars are lost globally on the financial scene due to activities of cyber criminals. It's estimated that every week about 3,286 people and organizations in Africa face cyber attacks. So, Nigeria is taking proactive steps by building a fortified system that will not just protect users, but buff off cyber threats on all fronts. The National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA, and the Office of the National Security Advisor is holding a National Cybersecurity Conference, the first of its kind in Abuja, to address this threat head-on. Chimdima Ndubisi will tell us more about it.
From hacked social media accounts to large-scale data breaches targeting banks and government institutions, Nigeria's cyberspace is undergoing pressure, especially with emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence becoming veritable tools in the hands of cybercriminals. So, the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, and the Office of the National Security Advisor are no longer handling the rising wave of cybercrime with kid's gloves, but confronting it with a common front. At the first National Cybersecurity Conference, it was agreed that to build a resilient digital future, investing in development of cybersecurity software solutions, and its strict use by organizations and individuals, as well as training cybersecurity professionals, will go a long way in tackling cyber crimes.
95% of cyber breaches are as a result of human errors. Therefore, our first line of defense is human. Ensure we have the professional to protect our cyberspace.
Countering terrorists' use of internet and tackling disinformation, extremism, and restoring national cultural values on digital platforms. And we are doing that. We call them Binance or whatever you call them. They don't come here again. No more. We'll protect this place and we'll fight you if you are a bad man, wherever you are. All those you see in the digital platform, whether you call them TikTok, whether it is, we'll be there for you, we'll confront you.
And it's not just about collaborations among national, public, private, and security organizations, but partnering global security bodies such as FBI and Interpol. As the government takes tough measures to tackle cybercrime, notable progress is being recorded.
Whilst you are aware of the fraud perpetrated through the cyberspace, cryptocurrency fraud, we are in court with some of these international players in cryptocurrency. So we are not going to allow our system to be used as a base for these international criminal cells. We discovered that some folks in Eastern Europe, we connive with some insiders of these financial institutions, banks. They will give them a device, they will plug it into their system, right from Eastern Europe, they move money from one account to another. I mean, these are sophisticated schemes, and so we need the coordination of the financial institutions to be able to attack some of these attempts to destroy the economy.
Another important aspect in the fight against cyber threats is enlightening cyber users to be mindful of accessing suspicious websites and links on their smart devices, as it could be malwares or ransomwares. In Abuja, Chimdema Ndubisi, NTA News.
Many thanks, Chimdema, for that report. To talk more on cyber threats, we have the DG of NIDA, Kashifu Inua Abdullahi, joining us now for a conversation. Many thanks, DG, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, now let's get into it. What key threats or gaps in Nigeria's current cybersecurity framework prompted the need for this first ever national conference?
So this is not just about Nigeria, but it is a global threat. So we look at the digital acceleration within Nigeria. When people are digitizing, government is digitizing services, private sector is digitizing. That also comes with its own pitfalls. That has to do with the scale and complexity of the digital or the cyber threat. So looking at that, we said we need to build a resiliency as a country. So we need to build a resilient digital future for Nigeria. Resilient is more than just protection, because protection is about keeping the bad guys away. But when you talk about resilient, it's about anticipating. One day the bad guys could get in. When they get in, how can you detect them, deter them, as well as respond to the challenges? How can we come up with robust policy frameworks that will safeguard us and also create a business continuity as if there are any cyber breaches? So we look at it, the best way to do it is by bringing people, by bringing all ecosystem players together, bringing the government, the academia, the private sector, as well as the international community. Because cyber threat is not something you can deal with in isolation. Something can happen in Nigeria within few minutes. It can spread to other parts of the world. We've seen during the WannaCry how it spread around within short time around the world. So we are looking at how can we build that kind of global partnership to combat cyber threat as well as to enhance intelligence sharing? How can we promote cybersecurity education within our population as well as skills development in cybersecurity? Because one thing is about to be aware of the threat to help protect yourself, and another thing is about having the right professional that can defend our cyberspace. We
All
look
right.
at globally, there is over 4.6 million cybersecurity professional deficit. How can Nigeria position itself, provide professional that will serve our market, as well as to harness our young population to provide professional that can also add to the global value chain?
All right, fantastic. Many thanks, DG. Now, with the increasing digitization of government services and businesses, how is NIDA working to ensure that cybersecurity becomes a shared responsibility, both among public and private stakeholders?
So like today, the conference we started, we have 5 objectives. One of it is how can we strengthen our national cybersecurity resilience by fostering collaboration among governments, industry, academia, and so on. Today, we have more than 175 organizations participating at the conference. We have 63 government agencies. We have 53 private sector. We have 25 international organizations. We have 11 academic institutions. We have 9 embassies. We have 7 professional bodies and associations and 7 civil society organizations. So you can see we have all the stakeholders in the same room discussing and sharing ideas on how to build our cyber resilience.
That's great. Many thanks, DG. Because of time, I'll just quickly ask this last question. Now, how does this conference align with Nigeria's broader digital economy strategy? And what outcomes should Nigerians expect after this summit?
So on assuming office, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu made it clear that economic diversification and inclusivity are paramount to his administration's renewed hope agenda. And the president outlined 7 key priority areas to achieve this vision, with priority number 7 specifically focused on accelerating industrialization, digitization, creative arts, manufacturing, and innovation. Looking at this at NIDA, we crafted our strategic roadmap and action plan with a vision of making Nigeria a digitally empowered nation, fostering inclusive economic growth through technological innovation. And we have 8 pillars. We have a pillar specifically focused on strengthening cybersecurity and enhancing digital trust. Because as we digitize, we need to build that confidence in our citizens to use the technology safely and responsibly. And we have so many initiatives we are implementing, like a digital literacy for all, with an ambitious target of achieving 95% digital literacy by 2030. One of the learning objectives is safety. We go to marketplaces, we go to religious places to train our citizens on how to use these devices.
All right, thank you very much, DG NIDA, Kashifu Inwa Abdullahi, for your time and sharing your insights with us as regards this conference. Keep up the good work you're doing at NIDA, by the way, and thank you for being on News Extra.
Thank you for having me.
All right, now let's talk security. The role of effective leadership, resilience, and artificial intelligence in a changing global order is the focus of the training for military personnel in Abuja. The program, organized by the Nigerian Army Resource Center in collaboration with King's College London, is aimed at enhancing the capacity of senior military officers in combating emerging threats.
We want to challenge the senior army officers
So start thinking outside the box. There are challenges out there. You see, when we talk about collaboration, you must bring something to the table. You must bring knowledge, you must bring experience. So we want to sharpen the knowledge, we want to improve their experiences before they go out there and collaborate with others.
Well, AI belongs to what is referred to as emerging and disruptive technologies. Gradually it's becoming integrated into every process that we do, from our behaviors to our daily living. And as practitioners in the field, it's very important that senior military officers get acquainted with the rudiments of AI so that they can also enhance their processes in the field.
We have a new way of looking at things in terms of policy, in terms of concept, operations, and ultimately in terms of how we work together in the future.
The training is geared towards using artificial intelligence in upskilling the fight against terrorism and other crimes in the country. Let's head to Borno now. In a typical human society, unusual problems sometimes require unusual solutions. Now, that best describes the current situation in Borno State, where a multi-sectoral committee recently formed by the government is helping to rid the capital city and environs of crime. Abubakar Musa is here to tell us about the impact of this new development.
Apart from the about 2 decades-long insurgency Borno State had to grapple with, some urban-based social vices like phone snatching, gangsterism, rape, shop and house breaking, and even robbery have become regular of the daily complaints emanating from residents of some quarters within Maiduguri city and its environs, with other urban cities not spared of such challenging vices. So pervasive have these vices become that hardly a day or week passes without reported cases of security breaches involving precious lives and property, most especially within the state capital and other urban areas. The assorted lethal arms, charms, and drugs here are confiscated from different individuals and groups within Maiduguri city, courtesy of the State Commission of Justice-led committee formed by the Professor Babagana Umar Zulum-led administration to revert or even put a complete stop to the emerging urban-based social vices.
We got a report from concerned citizens of certain heinous crimes being committed, certain areas that are harboring criminals and all sorts of crimes being committed. And we recognize that there is a need for us to attend to this problem in a more strategized and coordinated manner.
Residents have acknowledged the bold steps so far taken by the government and security organizations, describing the inauguration of the committee as apt.
It's good that the government is reacting now. Never to do it is, coming late is better than not doing it at all.
It's very, very important with the situation that we find ourselves in Borno State. It's a step forward for the government.
It's a good development. It will move the state forward, it will move the nation forward, it will touch on all nooks and crannies.
Stakeholders say to achieve maximum success in the area of guaranteeing security, the citizenry must be willing to play their parts to the fullest. After all, the issue of security should be considered as everybody's business. In Maiduguri, Abubakar Musa, NTA News.
Well done to the government of Borno State. We head to Yobe now, where Governor Mai Mala Buni has convened an emergency meeting with heads of security agencies and other stakeholders to discuss pressing security issues while adopting new measures to enhance safety of lives and property of citizens of the state. Yunusa Suleiman takes it from here.
The expanded security meeting convened by Governor Mai Mala Buni is to review and discuss pressing security issues, as well as initiate and adopt measures that will further enhance the security of lives and property in the state. Following extensive deliberations behind closed doors, the special advisor to the governor on security matters briefed journalists on the outcome of the meeting, describing it as productive.
As part of the strategic guidance of His Excellency and his vision is to expand Operation Haba Maza, which used to be a police operation into a joint operation that will involve all security agencies in the state. And with this expansion, we expect to see a replication of Operation Habamaza in Potiskum, Gaidam, Gashua, Unguru, and Bunyadi.
On the recent closure of 3 popular weekly markets in Katarko, Kukareta and Bunyadi in Damatru and Gujiba local government areas, the security advisor described the decision as difficult but necessary.
And the reason for the closure is to give government and security agencies the time to get things organized and prevent any such incident that will endanger the lives and property of people in the market.
The markets, government assures, will open for transactions once concrete measures are put in place to guarantee the well-being, safety and security of citizens. In Damaturu, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
It is better not to experiment drug abuse at all than seeking help and rehabilitation after the repercussion of such action begins to rear its ugly head. Experts and concerned stakeholders emphasized this at the 2025 edition of the MTN Foundation's Anti-Substance Abuse Conference in commemoration of World Drug Day in Lagos. Diana Ajale reports.
I didn't know I was signing up for something more harmful and detrimental.
My husband said to me, "Haven't you ever had enough of this? Don't you feel sorry for this little boy? He loves you despite everything." And I made a silent promise that I am going to overcome my addiction.
This is the evidence that the fight against drug abuse in Nigeria is indeed a shared responsibility, as individuals who were previously victims of substance abuse are now leading clean lives, thanks to MTN Foundation's anti-substance abuse program. The initiative is also sensitizing secondary school and university students who may easily be lured into drug use as a result of peer pressure.
To our young people, you are the future of this nation. Your choices today shape your tomorrow. You have the power to say no, to seek help, and to rise above peer pressure and harmful influences.
Data has it that by 2030, drug use in Nigeria will increase by 40%. And so this is what we can do to contribute to stemming the tide, because indeed substance abuse in Nigeria is an epidemic.
Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and Chairman CEO NDLEA Brigadier General Buba Marwa represented, and other key stakeholders speak on the effects of drug abuse in the society.
It is not just timely, it is urgent. It reminds us that prevention is not an option, it is an imperative.
The burden of substance use disorder is not only a health crisis, but also a threat to national security.
MTN Foundation Anti-Substance Abuse Program, ASAP, is a platform for the leading mobile telecom network provider management to add their voices in the fight against drug abuse and illicit trafficking in Nigeria. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Moyi Aino, has reaffirmed that President Bola Tinubu's administration is taking bold and concrete steps to reduce maternal and neonatal deaths in Nigeria. Dr. Aino, during the signing ceremony for bilateral memoranda of understanding with 10 Gates Foundation supported states, described the agreements as major milestones in implementing flagship maternal and neonatal mortality reduction innovation and initiative.
Yes, that the federal government will support you, and that's inclusive of the Federal Ministry of Health through the Sword Coordination Office, the NHIA, the NPHCDA, and other entities at the federal level. And then what we expect will be the state counterpart for this.
This is not the first MOU that is happening between states and federal government or states and partners. And the good thing is that with each MOU, there's always an improvement on the previous one.
Dr. Aino further revealed that through the Identify, Enumerate, Vaccinate strategy Over 400,000 pregnant women have already been identified and are being engaged to provide services across 6 states. It called on commissioners and state officials to take ownership of the program and expand it beyond selected local government areas. The initiative aims to rapidly reduce maternal and infant mortality through a coordinated sector-wide approach championed by the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Ali Pate. From health, let's talk education. 9,389 candidates, representing 39% of the 24,074 candidates, scored 50% and above in the June 14 federal and state technical colleges common entrance examination. Out of this number, 316 candidates scored 70% and above. The Registrar, National Business and Technical Education Board, NAPTEB, Mohammed Aminu Mohammed, disclosed this during the opening of the 2025 National Common Entrance Candidate Selection and Placement Exercise taking place at NAPTEB headquarters, Ikpobo Hill, Benin City. Jude Abugo reports.
Analysis of the common entrance results shows that out of 29,260 total enrollments, 24,074 candidates sat for the examination, reflecting an increase of 21,714 from the 7,546 enrollments recorded in 2024. The remarkable increase, the Minister of Education, Moruf Olatunji Alausa, represented at the event, attributed to the recent free tuition initiative approved by the federal government.
With the free tuition for the students of technical colleges generally, both federal and state colleges, societal acceptance of TVET is gaining more ground. Our federal technical colleges must therefore offer well-articulated and targeted programs of study for the acquisition of skills, assessment and certification to fulfill government expectations and meet public demand.
At the end of this selection exercise, every successful candidate would be able to check his or her result on NAPTEB portal.
A goodwill message from the Nigerian Television Authority, delivered by Zonal Director, Benin Network Center, Teni Ajayi, acknowledged the sacrifices of teachers in empowering youths that will shape the future of the nation.
This exercise is a clarion call to creativity, innovation, and entrepreneurship, and I have no doubt that our young talents will rise to the challenge.
The new TVET initiative of the federal government is designed to empower young Nigerians with vital practical skills needed to actualize the nation's aspiration of becoming one of the world's top industrialized nations. In Benin, Jude Abugu, NTA News.
This is News Extra. There's more news in a bit. Please remain tuned. Many thanks for remaining tuned. Nigerian and Chinese Environment Ministry delegations have met in Abuja to finalize plans for Nigeria's green industrialization plan with the Lekki Low Carbon Demonstration Zone in Lagos set as a pilot. Charles Alpha reports that the meeting stems from a COP29 MOU between the two countries to establish the zone in Nigeria.
On November 15, 2024, in Baku, Azerbaijan, Nigeria and China put pen to paper in an attempt to address shared global crisis of climate change while driving economic development. And this culminated into the agreement to develop a low-carbon demonstration zone in Nigeria, which will be to drive just energy transition to support green industrialization. In realization of this, Nigeria and China set up technical teams to come up with a design that works for Nigeria. And so they are here to brief the Minister of Environment on progress and inspect the designated pilot site in Lagos to share ideas and exchange data. The team briefed NTA after a closed-door meeting in Abuja.
Mr. President has eloquently articulated his program for green industrialization, and this is part of what the ministry is doing to support Mr. President's agenda for Nigeria. Both countries have set up a technical team that are currently working together jointly to develop what looks like the design for what the project is going to look like. And so the study, which is part of why they're here, is really to scope on ground what is available, what are our policy initiatives, and what really is driving our ambitions as a country.
This initiative, the team believes, offers a unique opportunity to create a template and drive investment into infrastructure and capacity that addresses the dual challenges of climate change and economic growth through innovative, sustainable development plans.
It's all about green industrialization, right? Low carbon power, renewables, and a mixture of gas. Right? You also talk about green transportation, electric vehicles introduction. We also talk about waste recycling in the industrial sector as well.
The Lekki Low Carbon Demonstration Zone is expected to be replicated in other processing zones in Nigeria. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Let's talk business. Benny Adams is here. Benny.
Thank you, Nyere. Now, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has commended the passage into law of the 4 tax reform bills, saying the ongoing reforms as championed by the Federal Inland Revenue Service is remarkable for economic growth. A senior economist at the Fiscal Affairs Department of the IMF, Paulo Paz, gave the commendation today at the opening of IMF-supported headquarters mission at the Revenue House in Abuja. Paz says the IMF recognizes the impact of good works at FIRS under the leadership of the Executive Chairman, Zak Adedeji, adding that IMF would continue to support the agency in delivering effective tax administration for the growth and development of the country. Special advisor on media to the FIRS Chairman, Dari Adekombi, says the mission of the IMF team to Nigeria is to explore areas the organization could further support the agency in addressing the challenges that might arise, particularly with the recently signed tax laws. According to him, the new tax laws will bring new impact to Nigeria. Adedeji, through his chief of staff, Tayo Koleosho, having applauded the IMF for collaborating with FIRS in portfolio management and compliance program, says the relationship will be stronger as the agency transits to the Nigerian Revenue Service by next year. On her path, Director Corporate Services Bolaji Akintola says IMF support on 2 systemic evaluation exercises using the Tax Administration Diagnostic Assessment Tool, TADAT, between 2018 and 2023 was of immense support. Now, from revenue, the federal government says it is building skills for not only domestic impact, but also for exports. This is as thousands of youths under the World Bank-assisted entrepreneurship project is training thousands of youth for 6 months on hands-on intensive training and industry-based skills.
We are training experts in all the skills that we have.
It's all about skills, training, certification, and employment. The employment could either be self-employment or you working in an industry.
There are 87 companies that look to this place for skills. So remember that before you japa.
And now looking at the markets at this point, the Nigerian equities market sustained the bullish streak, adding 211.84 billion naira to investors' wealth, with market capitalization closing at 73.97 trillion naira. Today's data shows 12% decline in volume, 16% decline in turnover, and 2% decline in deals, while on the aggregate, 128 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 59 gainers and 21 losers. And looking at the numbers at this point in time, the bull's eye is on the top trades and is on the second spot, talking about Access Core having traded 82 million volume of shares, but valued at 1.8 billion naira. Though on the top spot is Jopo Gold having traded 137.3 million, but just about 410 0.8 million. And on Tasport is ICO traded 50 million volume of shares valued at 95.2 billion. And on the top losers, we have Legend Internet losing 8 naira, while Guineans lost 1 naira for Kobo, and Eternal lost 41 naira. This is it. and business at this time. Nyere, you can take it from here, and I'm looking forward to you enlisting some of these talks at this time. It
Many
is actually
thanks.
profiting.
Many thanks, Benny. Still waiting for your support massively.
Oh, sure.
All right, now the quest to find lasting solution to malnutrition and food insecurity in Nigeria continued at the National Summit on Nutrition and Food Security, convened by the House of Representatives Committee on Nutrition and Food Security. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that the conference is to build stronger synergy among stakeholders so as to tackle the issue frontally.
The core of food security is that every citizen should have access to nutritious, safe, and sufficient food always. This is the major focus of the National Summit on Nutrition and Food Security at the National Assembly. The heart of the summit lies in the stories of stunted children, people displaced by flood and left with nothing to eat, of farmers losing yields due to climate change, as observed by Chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Nutrition and Food Security, Chike Okafor.
Let experts tell us what we should do, both at the national and subnationals, to address this challenge of malnutrition and lack of food.
Participants at this summit, drawn from federal, state, and development partners, were clear. Every Nigerian child deserves more than a hungry stomach. Enhanced governance priority on nutrition and increased awareness at the local level.
Transforming our food systems to make them more sustainable. The Nutrition 774 was bettered, showing that Nigeria has decided as a unit to tackle malnutrition.
It is hoped that these conversations won't end in the corridors of the National Assembly, but in fuller plates, healthier meals, and a nation that nourishes its own. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Now, Abuja, Nigeria's capital city, was created to serve as the nation's administrative center. While the pace of its infrastructural development has been slow, husbandmen in the city are effectively utilizing their abandoned land to cultivate crops, supplying not only local residents, but also neighboring cities. Agriculture correspondent Musa Babali visited some of the plantations and files this report.
Abuja, the capital of Nigeria, is a marvel of urban design, created with focus on unity and a vision for the future. As you drive through the city, you will notice beautiful buildings, many showcasing the latest architectural styles, accompanied by lovely roads lined with trees. However, there are also valleys, slums, waterways, and underdeveloped lands scattered throughout various locations in the city. Much of the land in and around downtown is designated as a municipal green reserve and waterways. Farmers like Margaret David are taking advantage of the fertile land to grow crops. Her farm is situated beneath a bridge in the Wuse area of the city. She said that farmers like her are the primary producers and suppliers of vegetables and bananas to the markets in the federal capital. We are not only supplying Abuja, but also parts of Niger, Nasara and Kogi states, she says. Another farmer, Mohammed Ibrahim, is cultivating a slop in the federal capital. He mentions that their presence has enhanced security, as hoodlums no longer use the area as a hideout. Despite these contributions, infrastructural development is gradually encroaching on the land available for cultivation. However, the farmers remain optimistic that despite urbanization, they will continue to utilize any available space to grow crops and earn a living.
You cannot use the whole space for residential building for companies and big skyscrapers, no.
I only use from what I'm getting here to train my children to school. I make sure my children go to school.
As land in the federal capital territory is being developed, a high-rising building like this could be converted into farm using smart agricultural technologies. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Well said, Musa. Many thanks for that report. Now time for a break. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. A strategic shake-up in Nigeria's aviation sector as the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, officially inaugurates a new board for the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, to be chaired by the immediate past chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. The appointment is aimed at strengthening regulatory compliance, enhancing governance, and improving Nigeria's aviation aerospace infrastructure. Aliyu Kabir reports.
The Nigerian aviation industry has long been plagued by significant challenges including regulatory concerns, safety issues, economic instability, flight delays and cancellations. For instance, according to the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA), between September and October 2024 alone, out of 10,804 flights operated, 5,224 were delayed and 190 were cancelled. This represents a delay rate of 48.3% and a cancellation rate of 1.8%. These statistics underscores the need for effective solutions to address these issues.
If there is cloud or visibility is poor and you are approaching an airport, you must be able to get some equipment that will navigate and lead you to land well.
In a bid to enhance safety standards and institutionalize governance, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has inaugurated a new 8-member board for the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, led by Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, who was nominated by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The board comprises key representatives from the Ministries of Aviation, Defense and Tourism, as well as FAN Managing Director Olubimi Kuku, and a representative from the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology NCAT Zaria.
The challenges we face are numerous, from infrastructure deficits to ever-evolving dynamics of global aviation. Yet, I am confident that the wealth of experience and expertise that each of you bring to the board will be instrumental in steering FAN towards achieving its mission.
We assure you, in conjunction with the executive management, we shall ensure passenger increasing expectation, passenger satisfaction. Honorable Minister, we shall also ensure the functionality of infrastructural facilities.
The new FAN board faces daunting tasks ahead, including upgrading airport infrastructure to align with global best practices and addressing the long-standing challenges towards a safe and effective service delivery. In Abuja, Aliyu Kabir, NTA News.
The National Orientation Agency, NOA, is worried over growing spate of insecurity in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Issues of youth restiveness, increasing rate of migrants into the FCT are part of growing Sierra's security concerns, and the agency is urging members of the public to always be at alert. Kenneth Nanim reports that the awareness campaign is being championed by the director, FCT chapter of the NOA, Acharo Opaluwa.
These are the foot soldiers of the National Orientation Agency who move from street to street, carrying out one-on-one campaign, educating and enlightening the public on the policies, programs and other activities of the government, from streets around the Federal Secretariat, Abuja, to the mini markets within the area. They continue to enlighten the public on consciousness of their environment. They have 3 specific messages being conveyed using the Nigerian languages. The public is being reminded to shun violence, be cautious of intruders with ulterior motives, as well as the pressure on residents as a result of housing deficit in the FCT.
We collect our information from the grassroots, and then we know what the society really needs at every moment. So we know that yes, the influx of migrants to the FCT and the housing pressure is a big issue. And we know that yes, youths are the major instruments that are used to disrupt activities here in the FCT. So that's how we have decided to come out to put these 3 issues together to sensitize to people to make FCT a better dwelling place.
The agency is also seeking collaboration of stakeholders to ensure that lives and property of Nigerians are safe and secured at all times. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Let's look at the foreign scene now. The European Union is seeking to strike a deal with the United States to avoid sweeping tariffs as U.S. extends deadline to August 1. These and more on Global Tidbits with Uche Ogochukwuka.
The United States has moved its deadline for finalizing deals with partner countries to the 1st of August. However, they aim to reach a deal before then, potentially in the coming days. European Union trade spokesman said the union has shown readiness to reach an agreement in principle, and that reaching a deal now depends on the willingness to find an outcome that is acceptable to both sides.
And the Commission has consulted closely with our Member States and industry to ensure that there is a high degree of cohesion in our overall EU approach.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Namibia and held talks with the Southern African nation's president, Netambo Nandi-Ndaitwah, on the last stop of a tour which has taken him to Ghana, Trinidad and Tobago, Argentina and Brazil to attend summits of the BRICS group of emerging economies. The visit comes as the Asian nation competes with China and Russia. Meanwhile, the former Minister of Justice of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Constant Mutamba, has appeared in court in Kinshasa, the country's capital, at the start of trial, where he is accused of embezzling public funds to the tune of nearly $20 million. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Many thanks, Uche Ugochukwu. Badia Deleye is here, and sports is next.
Many thanks, Nyara. Let's begin with golf as the judgment of the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos, reaffirming the independence of the Ladies Professional Golfers Association of Nigeria as a legal entity standing on its own, has been described as a welcome development by members and officials of the association. According to them, the Justice Ibrahim Kala order in the suit instituted by the Incorporated Trustees of the association against the Incorporated Trustees of the Professional Golfers Association of Nigeria gives them the needed latitude to carry out their functions towards the development of the game in Nigeria.
Court judgment to me is a victory for all the women, a victory for the younger girls, and even for the men. We'll be having international event, national event, local event, interclubs event, team alliance, pro-arms.
After the tournament, the next is to see how we can bring up the young ones to join this noble profession.
Still talking women, but football this time as Nigeria's Super Falcons will hope to seal qualification to the next round of the 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco as early as March 2 when they take on Botswana. Having recorded a 3-0 win over Tunisia in their group opener, the Falcons are the favourites going into Thursday's game. And the other matches played earlier today, we saw the match between Zambia and their opponent Senegal ending in a 3-2 win for them. And of course, Morocco came from a goal down to defeat the Democratic Republic of Congo 4-2. And of course, just before we go, let's quickly inform you that the FIFA Club World Cup final is set as Chelsea will be facing Paris Saint-Germain. PSG defeated Real Madrid, the 5-time winners, 4-0 earlier this evening. Of course, that does it on sports. Let's return to here.
Many thanks, Buddy, for the update. And with sports done, we're done with News Extra tonight. Many thanks for investing your time with us. Keep a date with us next week. I'm Ian Ray John. Have a good night.